What's up everybody? I'm Weston. I like to build things, make things, design, and create things. And today, I'm going to be power carving wood to look like sand. Let's do this. Started off by using a circular saw to cut a board to a somewhat arbitrary length of 30 inches. The wood I'm using is Douglas Fir, for those who are curious. Then I sketched out some lines on the board just to give myself a sort of pattern to work from. I want it to kind of look like sand dunes or windblown sand, so I just draw out what I think is going to give me that effect. The lines are going to represent the high points, so I just carve out everything in between the lines. Now it's on to the fun part, power carving with an angle grinder. This tool is so fun to use. The disc I'm using here is a carbide cup wheel from Harbor Freight. It's really awesome for removing material quickly and kind of just trying to get the rough form shaped. Of course, while I'm doing this, I'm wearing eye protection, ear protection, and a respirator. Angle grinders are super loud and they fling a ton of sawdust all over the place. And I really don't want that in my eyes or lungs, so safety first. After getting the basic form roughed out, I switched to a finer disc to refine the form and just kind of clean it up and smooth it out. I'm using a Kutzall shaping disc here. This is the fine grit. This was awesome. It did a really great job. I really like this disc. Now it's on to everyone's favorite part, sanding. At this point, I didn't have any sanding discs for the angle grinder or any sort of other power sanding tool that would work with the shape of those grooves or waves or whatever. So I had to do it the old-fashioned way, by hand. I started with 40 grit to remove most of the marks from the angle grinder and just smooth out the bumps. It's really important to refine the form at this stage of sanding. Going into the finer grits, it just takes way too long to refine the form, so it's really important to get the form you want at this stage. I also used a Dremel on some spots. Here I'm using a Kutzall flame-shaped burr, the coarse grit. It really helped to run my hands along the surface to feel where it was bumpy or uneven, or even just kind of feel the quality of a curve and then refine it. Then I went on to 80 grit sandpaper. I used that little brush to clear the dust off so I could see what I was doing. A vacuum probably would have been better, but I just used this brush. Here's the result of the 80 grit sanding. It's pretty smooth to the touch, but I want it smoother, so it's on to 120 grit next. However, while I was sanding the edges of the board, I noticed a slight problem.
Then there was definite... what? Cupping.
Yeah, the backside had cupped, which you can see very clearly from the flat ruler teetering on the surface. So to fix it, I used a belt sander just to take some of the wood off the center and try to flatten out the ridge that had formed. Then I continued sanding a bunch more, all the way up to 320 grit. Then I filled some cracks and a knot with some wood filler. After I let the filler dry, I sanded it down, and then I was ready to clean off the piece with mineral spirits. Alright, I've let the mineral spirits dry. I left it overnight. I'm actually going to need to re-sand this. It's really affected several areas pretty badly. So, yeah, lesson learned. Way less mineral spirits. Whoopsie. Okay, I'm finally ready to put on the pre-stain conditioner and then stain this. So, yeah, let's put on some conditioner. I used a foam brush to apply the pre-stain conditioner. The conditioner just helps the stain go on more evenly and not soak into the wood as much, which is what I was after. Then I wipe the excess off with a rag. Okay, so I need to let this dry for about 30 minutes, soak into the wood, and then I will come back and apply the stain. I used a foam brush to apply the stain as well. I wanted a pretty light color, like a sort of light orange, to kind of look like the sand that can be found in the southwest of the United States, which is where I grew up. So I didn't leave the stain on very long before wiping it off. And I applied just this one coat. Okay, I'm going to apply some wipe-on poly. I'm going to use sandpaper to do it in this first coat. I ended up applying 2 coats of poly with the sandpaper, and then 2 more coats with a rag. It's finished. If you have any feedback for me or suggestions for future projects, or even if you just want to say hi, leave me a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to hit that thumbs up and maybe even share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming projects. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.